What's up, dudes? Max here, and I've been meaning to make this video for quite some time, and it's becoming even more appropriate the longer we get into the month of March without the update, and it's my own personal top 3 things that I would love to see changed for Street Fighter V that I think would very much benefit the game for the better. In all honesty, this list was initially a top 7 amount of things. However, there are several adjustments happening in the big March update when it does eventually drop that are alleviating some issues I had. The first one being 2 out of 3 on ranked. Now, this is slightly going to be adjusted when the March update comes out, mostly because 2 out of 3 on ranked matches is not going to be completely standard. They're going to give the player the option of whether or not you'd like to be able to play 2 out of 3 games, but it's not going to be forced where each person has to say yes, essentially, to a rematch. However, I'm a little worried about its implementation because with the huge amount of rage quitters in this game, of course those guys are not going to want to play a 2 out of 3 set. I do hope that this becomes a standard in the future for Street Fighter V, that 2 out of 3 is a thing for ranked because it works extremely well in the other fighting games where it is a requirement. The other big change is that Capcom is talking about putting in an arcade mode ladder, which is one of my personal big changes. Just give us a usual ladder, give us a last boss of some kind, make it Shin Bison with this crazy costume. I don't care. It just needs to be something that we can eventually play through, fight a boss, and have that be that. The weirdest thing about Street Fighter V in its current state is that it's a fighting game with no technical last boss bad guy. I guess you could say it's Bison, but it's been Bison for so many games now. I'm kind of wanting to see something a little bit different. The other change I wanted that they are making a change to is trials, and each character is going to have trials and combo trials and challenges that will be happening in the March update. I would love for the game to teach people how to do some combos, and if Street Fighter V had some pre-canned combos that you can reward the player with some fight money or something, I don't know, something that would be good to get you off the ground and get your feet wet when learning a character. And last but not least is something that's kind of standard in a lot of Capcom fighting games, but in this one is a huge pain in the ass, and it's acquiring colors for your character. I haven't even put up the full survival mode run I had with Nash yet, which is an insane 1.5 to 2 hours of me desperately trying to beat hard mode survival with Nash. It is ridiculous to get those extra 4 colors, up to 10 colors per character with survival, and they have said that there's going to be additional colors like beyond the 10 that you will be able to buy in the store, but we still don't know if you can actually purchase colors 2 through 10 in the store itself. I really hope so, because going through survival is a total pain in the ass in this game, especially because you have to do it for every character and every one of their costumes. It's a freaking nightmare. Oh god, no! Fuck! Fuck. Well, that does it. God damn it. I hate this shit so much. I've died so many times in this area. Now, those changes are ones that were initially on my list, but Capcom is approaching them in a specific way. Some of them are being fixed, and some of them aren't exactly like the 2 out of 3 with ranked and the overall way to acquire colors, but there is still 3 huge things that I think need to be addressed with Street Fighter V that would make a lot of people happy and would make the game just better overall. The first biggest one is loading and optimization. Anybody that plays Street Fighter V knows the time it takes in between matches to actually get to fights is some of the longest of any fighting game I think I've played. It's a little ridiculous when the majority of your time is spent either looking at loading screens, main menu screens, or looking just at your characters staring at each other or a giant picture of the world. You take so much time in Street Fighter V looking at all this extra stuff and so little time actually fighting. I really hope this process is optimized a little bit, because I've recently played another fighting game which limits the amount of time you spend looking at menus and doing all this stuff, and believe it or not, it's Pokken Tournament. You get so many matches so fast, the last thing you want to do after losing a game in an online fighting game is staring at menus waiting for the game to get you into the next match. That needs to happen as fast as possible, and it's a very archaic thing that many fighting games still abide themselves to, that this doesn't take a lot of time, and very few actually put in the time to actually make it as good as it is. This isn't just Street Fighter V, it's actually a lot of hugely popular fighting games. I hope this gets changed, because please, the last thing I want to do is be looking at menus and doing all this stuff. I just want to fight people as quickly as possible. The next up is a personal beef of mine, but is something that I would really like addressed, mostly because Street Fighter V has this interesting issue with it where, to a lot of people, it looks a lot like Street Fighter IV, especially if you're playing on one specific stage. the training stage. There's a lot of people playing online right now in training stage, and from what I've heard from some people that are actually like big competitive guys, training stage is technically banned in big Capcom Pro tournament modes. What happened recently at Final Round, where a huge majority of the top 8 was playing on training stage, I later found out was actually technically not allowed, because training stage is used as a primer to get you good at spacing and zoning and understanding block by block how far things go and practicing all that stuff that you need in a training stage. But then you have to memorize that and apply that to actual stages, which is an interesting thing. I didn't even know that existed. Now, the huge abundance of training stage in so many levels is ridiculous, and it comes to the point where a lot of people think it's a lag issue, where other stages cause lag online, and many people I've looked into reports have said this is absolutely not true in any way. Even stages that have interactable elements that make the stage wider and stuff like that is the exact same stage size as every single other stage in the game. What I'm trying to say is, get training stage the hell out of here. Those things are awful. I mean, just for the sake of looking at Street Fighter V and having it look so similar to Street Fighter IV for a casual audience, I personally just don't like looking at this thing. And I think Street Fighter V has plenty of other stages that look a lot better and is something that is much more pleasing on the eyes, especially for the audience that is watching the people playing. And with all that being said, the big change I want to training stage is that I hope that Ranked has a random option by default for the stage selection. I don't think there's any issues with stages having colorblind problems where people can't actually see things if they're colorblind. At least I haven't heard that about stages in Street Fighter V, not like the Volcanic Rim. So just make the ranked option the tournament standard, which would be random for every single person. Now, last but not least is a huge fluffy thing in Street Fighter V that they showed very, very early on in the game's development, and was seemingly dropped and was only added to one stage, and it was stage transitions. In the Chinatown stage in Street Fighter V, you can actually knock people into the bus, you can knock people through the left wall into the restaurant, and you can further knock people from the restaurant into a little like cooking area where they get noodles that drop on their head. I loved this aspect about Street Fighter V, and knowing what you can do on a variety of stages that have these little interactable elements had me really excited. Well, guess what? It only is on this stage. They never added it for anything else, and there's even huge hints on other stages like the Forgotten Waterfall that there was once maybe going to be something on the right side of the stage for that one as well. It's not something that's super important, but it was just this little extra bit of fun that you could have with the game, or this minor challenge you could have trying to go for some ridiculous stage transition that was really hard to accomplish. I like that stuff. That makes the game challenging and enjoying going for these extra things that the game is adding into it. So I can only hope that in the future they complete what they initially were going to do, which was to add a multitude of stage transitions into Street Fighter V. Please, the stuff they had in Chinatown was a really good starting concept, and for some reason, it never went anywhere, most likely due to development constraints, and since Street Fighter V is a game that's going to be ongoingly updated in the next many years, that's one of the things I would definitely like to see. Outside of the issues that are going to be tackled in March, the three, once again, that I would love to see make an adjustment to in the future for Street Fighter V is stage transitions to make a reappearance on other stages, the loading and in-between match time to be addressed because it takes so long in Street Fighter V, and the overall stage selection for ranked matches, in my opinion, should definitely be random. I know a lot of you guys don't think these are huge issues, but this actually does affect the game overall, in my opinion. And the best thing about Street Fighter V is that they are very much listening to the audience right now about what is going to be in the game, especially because they've been responding to a lot of this stuff really fast. And even though it's not in the March update, hopefully some of this stuff could be there in a future one. Let me know what you guys think about these proposed changes I have for Street Fighter V. Let me know if you agree with them, or if there's anything else you would really like to see changed about the game. Besides, like, characters. I know you all want Akuma, okay? I know all of you want Akuma. My name is Max, and I'll see you next time.